Welcome back to class. I am Michael Carls. We are brought to you by Coachella Sports and Entertainment Stadium Authority, and we have a special championship edition of Hot Mic. We are going to be interviewing head coach Cal Lowell of the La Quinta water polo team, as well as a few of the girls on the team, be able to get their reactions of this amazing season and talk a little bit more about what it takes to be a championship team and the special bond that they have together. So we are going to take a quick break here. We're not going to mess around today, and when we come back, we will have interviews lined up for you. And we are back in class with a special Hot Mic edition. I am here with La Quinta water polo coach Cal Lowell, just fresh off of a CIF championship. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And second, did you believe that your team was going to be where they are right now today?
Yes.
From the start of the season, you knew that there was something special there?
I saw them 3 years ago, and I knew that would be the case.
And so to where they are now, has this been a culmination of? It's
been a 3-year project for us.
A common goal to be CIF champs.
Correct.
And being CIF champs, especially from the Valley, not really known as like the greatest of aquatic sports here. I mean, most of the time people will talk about San Diego or LA or something like that, the bigger places.
Mm-hmm. Orange County in particular for water polo.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that puts you guys at an advantage or a disadvantage?
I always thought it was an advantage.
How
People
so?
just underestimate us. They instantly do that. Over the years, I've had people come out here to play us in playoff situations or other situations coming in from Orange County or San Diego or wherever. And just in talking to them before the game, oftentimes I'll just hear that looking past you. You know, we're going to play you,
Mm-hmm.
but we're looking forward to these next opponents. And we don't really consider you seriously, and it's a big mistake.
Right. Well, I mean, considering you guys were 29-1 on the years, that sound right? That's unbelievable, in my opinion. Beating most teams pretty handily. Now, is that when you have a team that has a goal like CIF, and you're playing teams that you know that you can beat, not on your best day, but you have a goal at the end that you're always striving for. Was it difficult to keep them on track for that in games in that situation?
That was a big worry.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because you know that when it gets to a playoff competition and it gets to that final championship game, you know, the intensity of the game
Mm-hmm.
and the skill and just your opponents are just that much better. You know?
Right.
And so if you are rolling through a bunch of games where you're winning 20 plus goals, you know, or more, it's not really the same type of competition. And so, you know,
Right.
you wonder if they're going to be prepared for that type of thing. So
Right.
practices have to be carefully scripted.
Right. Well,
Try to
especially
prepare
for situations like, of course, a team when you guys are up, you know, however many goals, and it's a pretty handle win, but now, you know, you're in the championship and it's starting to be back and forth, and now it's getting tighter at the end, and now everybody is playing a bit tighter. How do you keep your team loose in that situation?
Well, you just hope that they are prepared, and you rely on the training, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that I was alluding to. You know, for example, going into this last game, we were able to see film of this team. We
Mm-hmm.
hadn't seen them personally, but we recognized how physical they were going to be. They were going to use physical intimidation on our girls.
Right.
And so I set up the situations in practice where the scrimmage partners of the starting group were very, very physically intimidating, or just were really over the top grabbing and holding and things like that. And they had to play through that and prepare themselves for
Mm-hmm.
that. And so you just depend on the skill and the time in the water and the fitness, and hopefully I was able to set up the situation so that they are familiar to them and they've faced them before, and that's what keeps them loose and
Right.
and keeps them going because they're familiar with it, you know.
How impactful was it to have a group of girls that are able to not police themselves, but hold each other accountable and keep this common goal together. Was it difficult for them to take on that leadership, or was it easy for some of them?
I think we all recognized early on this year, after the first couple of games, but we all knew that the talent has been here for the last couple of years. It's just been, these girls have been growing and maturing. But we all recognized very early on that that we had this ability to do this, and so it just became a common goal, as you say, and everybody bought into it. And the hardest part, honestly, or one of the hardest parts, is it's a team goal, and clearly, if there wasn't a full team of girls, both people that play most of the time and people that don't get as much playing time, but they are here constantly working together and building each other.
Right.
Like I talked about, the scrimmage that I set up before the championship game. If I didn't have those really good players to play against the ones that were going to start and probably play most of the time and do what I asked them to do and have the capacity to do that, it wouldn't have happened.
Right. Not many people, I don't think, unless they go back deep into desert water polo history, you're a CIF champion yourself at Indio High School, a very long time ago. And that game in particular, I was reading about it, and that was a close match also. And your father being the coach, I remember reading that he just said a prayer to himself, not to win the game, but to make sure that all of his players are playing at their best potential. And then he talked about one of the goals that took the lead in that game was to one of your not as great shooters on the team.
The play was botched.
Okay.
It was set up for another to work out a different way, but it ended up with the guy that had my dad used to call him, he had mallet hands. In other words, he didn't have a fine touch on the ball.
Right.
He wasn't quite as finely skilled, but it ended up in his hands, and he put that thing away.
I say all that.
It was beautiful.
How much is faith impacting your team and water polo in general for you?
That's everything to me.
Yeah.
That's my life. I think the girls also all have a faith, and it's common for the team, to say a prayer before the game. It's not something that I initiate.
Right.
They know who I am, and they know that I have a certain faith and stuff like that. But they together have created that tradition, and it's important to them. And there have been a couple of games, I think, where they somehow were rushed and weren't able to do that, and it just didn't seem right to them.
Right.
And so they really try to make sure that that's the case.
My question for that is, when we talk about faith, I always talk about, for a sports team in general, you have to have faith and belief in yourself that you can accomplish no matter what the odds are against yourself. And winning championships, you have to have faith within the people in your room, not just the outside noise and what other people are saying, because, there's tons of people that are going to tell you that you can't do this or can't do that. So having faith part of your team, I believe that, that's awesome, and that's huge from my standpoint, from a young coach, seeing that and being able to apply faith into my program too and see results out of it. That's awesome to me. I just wanted to say that.
Well, I told the girls some stories about my dad just before we went into the championship game, and he always thought that psychology. Now, faith goes into this. Your belief, your mental state of mind, and also a belief, in yourself and your teammates, as you say, and then it was about 95% of the game. And he'd work us out just endlessly. He was just a master coach.
Right.
And we would be so fit and so skilled, but what we believed was key. And the thing that happened in the CIF championship game that kind of proves that point was that we were kind of reeling during the third quarter. We had some setbacks. We had a couple of our starters kicked out of the game. In water polo, you can get excluded from a game. And We had gone a little deeper into the bench than we were used to, and we were just disjointed, and the other team sensed it, and they were coming back, and they had moved themselves up to within 1 goal again on us. And the quarter ran out, and I looked at the girls as I was talking to them in between the quarters, and there was nothing but resolve in their eyes. There was nothing but a belief that they were going to win, you know. And I've seen the opposite, and I knew there and then, you know, that they would pull it off, just because I could see it in their eyes and feel it coming out of their hearts.
Right, and that's awesome, because like we always talk about in football, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So when you're set against that type of adversity, and you can look at your team and be like, oh, I'm confident they know what they need to do, and they're not looking at me with the puppy dog eyes like, please help. They're like, we need to get this thing done.
Yeah, and that was the big question. And going back to your original questions, you know, because we had a season where we just blew people out game after game after game, we had 2 games that were tight in any respect. Mm-hmm. And one of those games that I'm calling tight, we won 11-1. Mm-hmm. But it was a close game. We were closely matched, and that team was challenging us all the way. Anyway, so that was the question. You know, where would their hearts be?
Right.
How much would they believe when they got, as you said, hit in the mouth?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they were really tested, and you know, they proved themselves.
And still talking about faith, I was also reading about how your family actually moved to the Valley. Your father was reading a swimming magazine and saw the ad for the Indio job in the magazine, and called and said, I believe that I need to be here and need to be a part of this. And he also stated that it was a way to be able to be close to you also, and he saw the things that you were able to do in the pool and all of those things, and wanted to help enhance that. Talk about how what that transition was like, and that mission that both you and him are on to be champions in this valley.
I haven't thought about these things in a long time. Yeah, you know, he thought it was his calling. He was a career Army officer, served in World War II in Korea, 3 tours, and a major in the Army and infantry and stuff, and in Europe and World War II and stuff like that. But he picked up all kinds of athletics. He loved athletics and picked up all kinds of stuff over the years, and picked up teams and coached and stuff. Ultimately, he ended up being an Olympic coach for us for volleyball, and he established many of the things in volleyball here in the United States that the U.S. owes an awful lot.
Right.
To. Anyway, but we knew nothing about water polo. But yeah, he wanted to coach me. And so I showed a knack for water sports, and so he picked up a swimming team, made a swimming team around me, and then but when it came to moving here, yeah, he felt like it was his calling to come here for some reason, that we were supposed to be here, that it was there was something really important, something pulling him here, a faith that it was something bigger than just himself,
right?
And that we together had a purpose here, and so yeah, here we came, and we ended up finding water polo, and you know, here I am. I don't know how many years later,
right,
doing the same thing he was doing, you know?
Right. And being that, I mean, water sports in your family, it's so intertwined from the top down. Where does that passion come from?
Well, the athletic passion was Dad, and I just picked it up very easily, hanging around his teams. And the water passion came from, well, it came from me learning to swim and doing well, but ultimately the water polo one, it came from my dad taking me to see the national championships, the NCAA championships, right, men's team. I told my dad when I was in 8th grade that I'm done swimming. I was tired of it, and he scrambled to try and find an answer, and he heard about water polo, right, you know, And he says, "Son, let's go watch this water polo. You know, the national championship is down in Long Beach." And so we went on this weekend trip and we watched this. And I saw those studly men out there playing this sport and their skill and the aggression and everything else. And I just fell in love.
Mm-hmm.
We both fell in love. And so the next thing was to take our Indio program and do something with it. You know, and within a couple of years, we were national champions and won CIF a year later, and so on and so forth.
The rest is history.
And from that program, you know, several guys were Olympians, and
wow.
and so on and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I went to college in Nebraska where they have like the Olympic trials for the swim and all
That's
that.
Right, they do.
And I was telling them, like, yeah, we have a water polo team. Like, at my high school, we have water polo and this. And they're like, water polo? Like, what is that? Like, oh, yeah, it's a game you play in the water. Like, they're like, we don't play that out here. We have no idea what that is. So being on the East Coast is, like, such a water-centric place. You know, going from player to coach, how difficult was that? In terms of like not being able to just do it and you have to tell or coach someone else to.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's tough,
Honestly,
isn't it?
I do. I love coaching and I love working with the kids and it's more than just the sport, but you know, the players get they get, as you go through a sports season,
Mm-hmm.
you get broken down and your soul gets exposed,
Mm-hmm.
and you find weaknesses that you never knew you had, that you get to build and change into strengths, and there's just so much beauty in building a person through sport. It's just so fun to see. But I hate not being in there doing it. I hate the idea of being on the bench, and I can see what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But doggone it, I can't do it. They have to.
Right.
You know? and so that part of coaching I've never liked. And just personally, because
Right.
that's my personal frustration.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, it's critical, and you'll watch many coaches that, I think all coaches probably have the same feeling, but many coaches will sit there and try to play the game for the players.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be yelling out all kinds of instructions and so on and so forth. And as I tell the girls, you know, that's not real time.
Right.
You know, by the time I send my instructions out there, I just saw something that they needed to see, and they interpret it and they look, it's gone.
Right.
The game is gone. And then, so at a slow level, yeah, that might work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to play at a high level, you know, you're going to be behind the game. And so, you know, I do my best to just be quiet.
Right.
And let them play.
Right.
You know, and then talk to them in between, you know.
Right.
I'm not always perfect, but I do my best.
Don't we all, right?
Yeah.
A couple more for you, Coach. When you're coaching out there, I mean, like on the football field, I'm able to talk to my offense, and then he runs back out.
Yeah.
Being that you're on the side and the game is constantly moving.
Water polo never stops.
Right. How often are you able to even give out tips or hints or plays, or is it just a natural flow of the game type feel?
Yeah, I'm talking, you know, and they tease me because I'm a soft-spoken guy, and the referees will often come over to me and say, you know what, Coach, you know they can't hear you because they know that I'm a soft guy.
Right.
And even when I think I'm talking loud, I'm talking soft. But they do hear me, I'm sure, at times. They'll hear me on defense because our bench is typically on the defensive end, and I might be telling them, you know, you need to maneuver here or something like that, thinking ahead, trying to think ahead. And the goalie will hear me, you know.
Right.
I'll be looking as we get the ball turned over and we're attacking back down the pool. You know, I'm looking for the way that the team is spacing and what might be the best offensive attack, which side she should outlet the ball on, and so on and so forth. And so I'm giving her hints on that. That's about it.
So it's almost like you're coaching for possessions ahead, or for the next.
I'm trying to see a step or two ahead,
right.
and maybe make send some sort of a
right.
message in if I can.
Right.
But sometimes, you know, they'll listen to me and they're trying to figure out what is he saying, you know, and it gets them confused.
Right.
So half the time I think that's the case, and so I better just shut up.
And then just kind of wait until the quarter's over.
They're
and then
smart. They can do it.
Right. Exactly.
They didn't win this CIF championship because they didn't understand how to play.
Right.
And all the coaching is done in practice, most of it.
Right. What kind of, or what part of your personality did they take on as a team?
I know you have to ask them, huh? But I have certain style, and our team plays a style of game that just about everybody else doesn't play, and that's my style.
Right.
And so I guess that's my personality. And our style is movement and quick passing, and precision skills. It's not so much of a wrestling game. Water polo is also a wrestling game. It's turned into a big wrestling game.
Right.
And we like to move and fly up and down the court and around, and so that's my personality right there. And I also, I assume they don't complain. Some teams are complainers when calls and things like that. I don't really believe in that either.
Right.
And so I seldom complain, if ever, about anything. The big joke again of the referees, besides what I told you, is, Coach, please do something or say something that I can give you a yellow card for. Please, please, this time, because I'm just not known for being a loudmouth.
Last question for me. Do you have any advice for a young coach, just in general, especially with like high school kids? Because I struggle sometimes. Like, I get so mad and I'm just like, man, they're just kids sometimes, and I forget that rather than like it's serious to me.
I wouldn't do it unless I loved them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it is. You love them and you let them know it, and you've got to make them uncomfortable in practice, but you also have to make sure that somehow do your very best to. Doesn't always work, and so you have to kind of fight for this, but somehow you want to try your best to make sure that by the time you leave or when you leave that nobody's holding a grudge, right? That they know that you're doing it because you love them, or you said it because you love them, and you have to make sure that they don't ever leave with that,
right?
And if you can do that and pull that off, you're doing pretty good, I think. You win their hearts. They do special things.
I love that. It's like love is stronger than using, because coaches use fear all the time as that their motivation, and I think love.
I use guilt.
Yeah, I think love is definitely stronger, and you bring out more in that player when you show them love and you love them up rather than trying to have them fear you in that way.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Coach. Well, thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you.
And just keep rolling for us. I really appreciate you sitting down and your team, and we'll definitely be looking out for you guys through this tournament. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am here with junior Akemi and senior Savannah. They are on the La Quinta Girls Water Polo team who just won CIF. Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So I am new to the water polo game. I know a little bit, right? I know that there's a ball. I know you always have to tread water and you're trying to score goals, right? Tell me what positions you guys are.
We don't really have positions on the team. We kind of are a driving team,
I love
so
that.
we basically move everywhere. But sometimes there's like a set position where you set up in the middle and basically you wrestle girls and everything.
Yeah.
And
our coach teaches us so that all of us can play every position. So I
Right.
think we would both be attackers and defenders. And he teaches us to have skill sets so that no matter what situation, you could be able to play anyone, guard anyone, anywhere in the pool.
Right. And how did you both get into water polo?
My brother played water polo for Coach Lowell, and I just really enjoyed it. I swam when I was little. I didn't really like it, but once I played water polo, I just fell in love.
My sister Mika, she introduced water polo to me, and I had no clue about it at all. Like, I was like, what is water polo? Like, I'm never going to get into this. And I was actually a soccer player before this, so, like, that's the same season as water polo. And I started running and everything, and I was like, soccer is going to injure me, so I'd rather, and I was a swimmer before this as well, so I was like, I better give water polo a try, because my sister did it, and I was like, it seemed really fun, like her playing games and everything. So then my freshman year, I gave it a try, and then I really loved it, and I kind of just stuck to it ever since then.
Now, being on the water polo team here at La Quinta, and you guys pretty much just destroyed every single team in the league. Were there any tournaments or any other teams that you played against that you were like, whoa, these girls can play water polo?
There were a few tournaments that we went to where we faced more difficult teams. One, Riverside Poly, we played them twice, and we were able to win. But they were just really fun games because they were high intensity and just playing people that have really high skills. And I think our practices were crucial to prepare us for that game. And so I would say Riverside Poly was
I agree.
one
Riverside
of the
Poly
hardest.
was definitely.
So you would say your team is more of a team that wants more. We're always looking for more of a challenge. We want to be challenged. So now being in this, I guess this counts as state tournament championship for Southern California. You're going up against some of the top teams in the Southern California. How does it feel being one of those teams?
It's definitely a great honor, like knowing like just from La Quinta, not a water polo, kind of like not being known as water polo. It's definitely a great honor to like be able to be in a state, like since it's like the first time that water polo has been to state. And Miss Celeste definitely prepared us for it, and I feel like it's going to be good because all of us are very like committed and very dedicated to winning and everything. So I feel like the games that we're going to play, it's going to be very good, and hopefully there'll be a good turnout in the end, but I feel like we're going to have a good time.
Was this a goal at the beginning of the year when you guys were going to start the season, or you were thinking about starting the season? Was it, we're not worried about league, we're worried about CIF and what can come after that?
Yeah, so we didn't even know that we could go to state until like the week before CIF finals. But our goal from the beginning was CIF, and we knew that, not that league would be easy, but we knew that we would have to push ourselves through league to be able to compete with the top teams in CIF. So from the beginning, our eyes were set on winning the CIF championship.
Now, knowing that you guys could be in this, and now the scores that you've had, beating all those teams and beating them up, and having some good scores on there, do you think that puts you in a position to compete against some of these other teams? Because the first team that you played, they didn't win CIF this year. So do you feel like you have more of an advantage being a team with confidence that we are champions and we belong here, like we can compete? Well,
I think it would have prepared us more had we been playing against hard teams from the beginning. But that's why Coach prepared us so hard in practice, because he knew that we wouldn't always be playing teams from the Valley. So it prepared us to play hard teams, and I think we're prepared even though we didn't have a ton of hard games this season.
How hard is it treading in water?
We get used to it.
Everyone always asks us that question. Yeah, you kind of just get used to it.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, you're not ever touching the sides, right? You're always swimming. Like, how long are the quarters?
7 minutes.
So you have to be swimming basically for 7 straight minutes.
Yeah.
And you just get used to that?
Well, I feel like
practice definitely helps.
Yeah.
But
and I feel like a soccer player, like in between running, they walk. And so in between swimming and treading hard, we just tread. So it's just kind of our way of staying afloat and breathing. It's I don't know, not that hard.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, fair enough. It's not that hard. I mean, just practice and you'll get it. Last question for you both. Being that this season has been so special and that you guys have accomplished so much already, what does it feel like just being at this tournament, and what can you take from this, from not just this year but moving forward? Like, being a part of a CIF team, you'll always be CIF champions from La Quinta, and nobody else can ever take that away from you. What kind of how does that feel, being able to say that and be able to move on to wherever it is that you want to go?
Kind of like I said before, like it's like definitely a great honor, and like we have so much like a group of girls, and they're so fun to be around, and like we all push each other during practice, and basically this team is like no other. I don't think, like, we all have an unbreakable bond together, and Coach has definitely helped us throughout this whole entire season, and he's got us to where we are today. And as well as, like, people, when we were at the CIF finals, there was like a big crowd of LQ people, and I don't think we definitely could have done it without them. They were cheering for us and everything. So it's definitely been a great honor and a great road to be called CIF champions.
Yeah, we just have so much support, and our family, or our team has become a family. And I think we just, I don't think there's anywhere else we'd rather be right now than being with each other. And also going to state, we're just excited to have fun. And we've practiced all season. We didn't even know we could go to state, but now that we have this honor and ability, I think we're all just excited to go try our best and get out there and play our best and just have fun together.
Well, it's like another, I mean, it's not to like lighten like the situation, but it's just another thing you get to do with your family, like another fun time you get to have with everyone, like that. And that's like what makes it so cool. Last question for you both. Favorite subject in school?
Math. Yeah, we both love math. Yeah.
What math though?
I like algebra. It's kind of easy. Like, you solve equations and everything, but
I don't know. I like all math.
Yeah.
I like calculus and pre-calc. You can do all of that.
Oh, I'm not in those classes.
Yeah, right.
But she is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Girls, thank you both for sitting down with me, and good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. And I am here with seniors Mika and Rachel. They are also on the La Quinta water polo team, CIF champs. Congratulations to you ladies also.
Thank you.
My first question to you both, did you make your beds today?
Today was actually the first day that I didn't. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's a typical likely answer, right? Yeah, the first day I didn't.
Actually, mine's like kind of already made when I get out, so. Because I usually like don't mess the covers up, so.
Yeah, she doesn't move.
I
don't
don't
even know
move.
if that's even a real thing, but we'll go with that answer. My first question to you about water polo, what's more fun, scoring goals or dunking a girl under the water?
Ooh.
I mean, if it's Rachel, I like dunking, but no.
I don't know. That's hard.
No, scoring, definitely.
Yeah,
It's just
I don't
like,
know.
it's nice having a reward at the end, and if your teammates are helping you, and it's just like all nice because it's not just you, it's everyone helps make that goal, and it's just.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a team effort rather than you just slam that
all
girl
that hard
underwater.
Work. Yeah, all that hard work. And like usually when you send someone underwater, you get out, so it's like, come on, but.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Being seniors on this team and you guys being CIF champs, how big of a leadership role did you guys have to take?
You see? Well, I think we all are good leaders, like all of us individually, and we all like strive to make each other better. And I know Savannah as our captain, like she's a really good leader, and she teaches us all like how to be our own leaders for ourselves and our team.
Right. Well, being that you guys are, like Savannah said, you guys are a family, and it's you're all striving for one common goal. It's not necessarily that you're having to tell someone else to do. It's more of just we're all encouraging each other, right?
Exactly.
And talking about how you guys you play a different style of water polo, and you guys are basically what you said was positionless, and everybody is just there making plays and doing what they're supposed to do. How is there ever a time where it doesn't matter who scores, it's just we just want to score, or is it a specific time where we will try to get someone to score here or there? Or
It's always going to be different. You'll see in like stats we're all taking turns like scoring, and it's just a matter of our team has so much movement, whoever's open gets the shot.
So it's definitely a team effort, and it's just running the plays and making sure that we're doing the right thing to score our goals. What is more difficult, offense or defense, for water polo?
I'll let you take that one.
I would say, I don't know. We're pretty like good at both. Like we're both.
I think we have
like,
more trouble with offense. Just
yeah, I don't know. It just
we get more stumped. Like defense, like it just comes naturally.
Right.
Offense, it's a little harder. We're still good, but
well, because like I feel like for only watching a few water polo matches, right? I got that right? They're matches.
Games,
They're not
right.
games. Are they games? Or are they matches?
Yeah, games.
They're games. All right. So
50-50 chance, missed it.
being that these games, right, are seems like it's more calculated for an offense rather than a defense. You can be in an area and you can have like the help from everybody else around you in that area. So I feel like offense, you have to be more calculated. Is that fair?
That's true.
Right. Next question. So in water polo, right? Okay. I had a friend that he told me he got ejected, but then was able to go back into the game. What?
Like right after you got ejected?
No, like you get 5 minutes, you're out, and then you go back in.
Well, usually
is that like a major, or is that called ejected?
20 seconds. Yeah, it's usually not 5 minutes. Usually just 20 seconds, or they score.
And how many fouls do you get?
You get 3.
3, and then you're
majored.
And that means you're out of the game forever. Okay. And it's called a major.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has the most on the team?
Oh God.
Lauren? Yeah, Lauren.
Shout out to the back.
Now, having these fouls, do you try to use them too when you're playing? Like, is that like part of a strategy to use?
Yeah.
How?
Mr. Lowell, like whenever we get what's it called? Whenever we're 6-on-5, 5-on-6, Mr. Lowell always looks at like the positive side of it and says we can score off of this. So usually we play teams play 4-on-2, which is 4 on the bottom and 2 on the top. So we have 3 on the bottom and 2 on the top. So if we were ever to win it back, we would have the 2 sprint up and score the goal, because usually their teams all like they don't expect us to score off them when we're behind. So it's pretty good.
For your team, did you either one of you expect to be where you guys are at right now?
Definitely not state. I knew that we had CIF in the bag, but
really,
I just trust my team so much. I just knew
it kind of just felt right. Like after 3 years, it's just like it's our time, and like I knew that there was no one else I could do it with besides them. So
that's awesome. So like it's like you guys talk about how you guys are just so close knit and that you're a family, and it's just the faith that you have in each other to get the job done, right? And it's having that faith no matter what, because Coach was saying you guys were put into situations that you weren't normally in and had to rely on people that you normally wouldn't in those types of situations. So how was it to be able to believe in every single person from the top down?
I don't even have any doubts. Like when I know I'm not there and I'm having trouble getting back, I already know I don't even have to tell them where they need to be. Like they just know, and they know that I'll be back soon.
Right.
We just know.
No, right. I'm with you. Last question for you both. What'd you eat for lunch today?
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. That's awesome. I just had mac and cheese.
I didn't. I had a salad with like chicken, and then I had but yeah.
Please make us feel even worse about our mac and cheese choice.
And
the salad did you have dressing on it or no?
Yeah, it was like I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, so at
ranch
least
with-
you didn't go full health on us. All right, right on.
and protein drink. Always.
Of course, right?
Yes.
The
Yeah,
recovery.
usually like a chocolate milk or like protein bar with that, or banana or fruit. Apples.
Awesome. I love it. Do you wash your apples?
Yeah.
You do? Yeah, they're dirty, right? You got to
Yeah.
wash them. I love it. Mika, Rachel, thank you so much
Thank
for sitting
you.
with me. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You're welcome. And I am here with Natalie and Lauren. Natalie is a junior and Lauren is a senior for the La Quinta water polo team, CIF champs. Congratulations. Thank you for sitting with me. My first question to you both, being on the water polo team, what's the environment like at school?
We've been congratulated a lot lately. It's kind of like water polo has never really been a big thing at our school. And usually we're kind of like pushed off to the side, where now it's like every class you go to, it's like, oh, you're in water polo, like, good job, you're CIF champs, like, you guys have been doing well this year. And people have kind of gotten to know the game, which I think is really cool. And it's just become more known in our school, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, definitely around this area. It's been becoming like more popular, I guess.
Do you think, being that you guys have had such a great season, and now that you're trying to, or you have put some light on your program at your school, do you feel like more people are going to want to play water polo after this?
I think so.
Or you will have more people like try out maybe, or like want to?
People are kind of intimidated by the game.
Yes,
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, whoa, like, how do you do that for so long? And our answer always is most of us have been swimmers before water polo players. And so people that usually don't swim before are kind of intimidated by it, where swimmers usually are attracted to it because they want something more than just swimming.
Right.
And so a lot of the attraction comes from swimming, I think.
Well, for me, it was, I started off with water polo and then found swim in high school. So I'm kind of on the opposite side.
So you played water polo before you got to high school?
Yes, I started summer polo when I was 6 years old. When
wow.
When my sister first started playing. And then after that, I did it for every summer. And then when I came to middle school, I started playing it year-round. Then 8th grade year, I took a break and I started playing softball. And then when high school started, I decided that I wanted to stick with water polo.
And we played together when we were little.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So you
We've
guys already had like a little chemistry.
We've
Yeah.
known each other
Right.
for a long time. Same
Awesome.
with Savannah.
And having that kind of chemistry, how does that help you guys out in the pool?
We can kind of like tell we're each other, like we're like,
We've played the
Yeah.
same game for so long. Like, we have the same style of play, and I think that really adds a lot of chemistry. Just all of us knowing, most of us have known each other
for a long
forever.
time.
Like,
Right.
we've all known each other before high school for the most part.
Yeah, we
Right.
all played club for Mr.
Yeah.
Lowe actually before we all got in high school.
Right.
And so I think that just really helps our team.
Yeah, it kind of just brought us all together
yeah.
before we were even in high school. Before we even had this team like brought up together, we were already playing together.
It's almost like, the way I put it, it's like you finish each other's sentences, but like in water polo, right? You have that chemistry enough to where you know where that
Yeah.
person's going to be. You can just rely on them to be in that spot, and they're going to just do what they need to do. Being that you're the bully on the team and you lead with all these majors.
Bully. You have a new name for yourself.
How intense does it get in the pool?
Oh, it gets very intense.
Oh, goodness.
Very.
Well, like, so
we have
go ahead.
you know, we wear swimsuits, and so we have a lot of material on us to grab, and girls really like to use that
Right.
for their advantage.
Right.
So it's hard to get out of situations, and that's one of the reasons why I am called the bully. I
Right.
guess.
Well, so I had a couple of friends in high school that played water polo too at Palm Springs, and they have just the Speedos, and that was one of the things. I was watching them and I was like, dude, like, you're not moving. He's like, the guy like literally had my swim trunks by his hand and I couldn't move. And then so like all of a sudden randomly I just see him turn around and just punch the dude in the face, and he's obviously out of the game.
Yeah.
But like I can see how that can be frustrating, all of the things that you can't see going on under the water.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because the refs are standing out of the water, so they can't really see much under. Like, they might see someone get kicked or something,
Right.
but they don't really see everything that's going on.
Right.
So there's definitely a lot more physical stuff than what everyone sees.
Right. And how lenient or how often do refs call those type of things? Like, are games kind of loose, or do they get tighter as you're playing better competition, or do they call it tighter, or
They do get the refs.
Well,
it really just
you have
depends
to
where you go
expose it.
to.
Yeah.
okay, so
also
you
have
got to
to
know the
expose it.
spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be able to showcase that, and then the refs will give you that advantage by being able to show that this person is grabbing onto me, and you just can't get frustrated.
And there's also two different types of polo pools. There's a two-sided one, so there's one ref on each side, and then a one-sided where there's two refs on one side.
Okay.
So it's more challenging because here at La Quinta we have a one-sided pool, and so the refs can only ref from one side of the pool, so they can't really see perspectives on the other side for
Gotcha.
what's going on
So
over
it's
there.
basically they're just going back and forth
Yeah,
on
so-
one side rather than being able to walk all
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
way around. That's interesting. Like, that's funny that you would know that, right? So if I'm on the other side, I'm gonna dunk this girl. Like, get out of here.
Well, yeah, and then you know that the refs can't see certain things, and
Yeah.
it kind of gets
sometimes
a little bit
sometimes I
strategic.
like to get away with stuff, but overall I'm pretty clean. I like yeah.
Right.
gets kicked out all the time.
No,
calls it clean.
I don't get it all the time.
My last question for you: what has been the most fun part about this season?
Honestly, the overnight trip that we
Oh
had for
my
CIF,
gosh.
my room was kind of like the fun room. So around, was it like 7 o'clock?
Uh-huh.
Around 7 o'clock, everyone like came to my room and we turned all the lights off and we had glow sticks and we were just playing music and dancing around, and
That's
it felt like a
awesome.
little nightclub. And so we were like getting super
Yeah.
hyped
Getting
before the
after it. I
game.
love
like
it.
we were
It
like, all
really
right, like,
bonded
That's
us.
awesome.
it was so much fun.
That's
It
awesome.
was
Yeah.
crazy.
Natalie, Lauren, thank you so much for sitting with me.
Thank you.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we are back. I am here with Virginia and Ariel, a junior and senior on the La Quinta water polo team. Girls, congratulations on the CIF championship.
Thank you.
My first question to you both, did you have any tests today at school?
I didn't. I actually did.
What do you have?
Yes, I had statistics.
Ooh,
Yeah.
how was it?
I actually really enjoy the class and my teacher. I mean, it can get a little boring sometimes, but it's a good class, especially with your classmates. you know.
Right. Well,
It's fun.
I mean, numbers, statistics, like it is
Yeah.
what it is. But you need school, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For water polo, this team, you guys being so special and you guys having this CIF run and now being able to move on to state, how has this experience impacted your guys' life?
Honestly, so my brother went to CIF and he won as well, and my two older sisters also, they were the runner-ups for CIF, so they played, but they lost by a goal, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, lost by a goal. And I remember having this opportunity, like, oh my gosh, I made it.
Right.
My father was in this, my brother, my sister. It was honestly just such an amazing, almost like a surprise. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I can't believe that we've done this, but we've worked so hard that we deserve it. And it was an amazing thought and an opportunity that would like never really come to most people.
When we first won CIF, it was kind of like, I mean, I was crying, obviously, you know, like, oh my gosh, it's a big championship game that we just won. But it still kind of hasn't hit me yet, you know, like, so many people have asked me, like, what is it like being a CIF championship? And it's like, well, it's just another game that we won. There's going to be more to come, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, this isn't where it ends.
Right. Well, I mean, having that kind of mentality and the chemistry that you guys have, just being here with you guys just have fun, it looks like, all the time. But when it comes down to it, you guys get down to business, and it's no messing around time when it comes to those games. Who would you say is the one that helps keep the team loose and relaxed and making sure that we're not so uptight that we're worried about what happens?
I think everyone.
We all have a certain role.
Looking out for each other, especially me. I get, you know, my temper can rise sometimes.
Ariel gets emotional.
Right.
We all have to be there for her and like rub her back.
Yeah. You know, they're like, Ariel, come on.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, push it aside.
Yeah. Just take deep breaths, you know. But I think definitely everyone is constantly looking out for each other when it comes to games. You know, we're not just all thinking about ourselves and all the pain that we're going through, like, oh, she was drowning me, you know. No, that's a pass. Like, we're continuing on, you know, and we're continuing to look forward and towards our teammates and seeing who needs help, who needs like help over here.
Right. It's pointless to dwell on what just happened. Like, we just have to move on to what we can control. Right.
Yeah.
Being in that, you guys have to in practice and prepare for all of these games and stuff, and you listen to your coach. How difficult can it be to see the end goal, like when you're in the middle of practice and it's a tough one, and it's you guys are are grinding it out and coaches are getting on you a lot? Like, how difficult is it to stay on course?
Well,
being with a group of girls can get very emotional.
Oh my gosh.
I can imagine.
And we can tell when our coach is upset with us.
Right.
He told you he doesn't like to speak.
Right.
So we can't always tell if he's upset or if he's happy with us.
Right.
You know, when the girls kind of get off topic a little, or we're like chatting a little off to the side, you know, one person's looking at coach for like, oh no.
Right.
You can see it bubbling up inside of him.
Like, what's going to happen? You know, you never know if he's going to laugh with you or if he's going to be like, okay, we're doing sprints, you know?
Right.
I don't know. It just depends. You know, when we get off topic, sometimes someone always on the team is like, come on, girls, let's do this. You know, we need to focus. And then we immediately start focusing back to what our goal is.
We can never disappoint him. We never want to disappoint him, because disappointing him is the worst thing we could possibly do.
Right. Well, yeah, of course, you always want to do well for your teammates and your coach and stuff. And I think that's so cool that, you know, when I asked, like, who are like the leaders on the team, and you guys said everyone really has their own role and they're able to hold everyone accountable. I think that's like the coolest thing for someone, no matter what, whether you're the leading goal scorer or you're just the role player on the team, to be able to speak up and say, hey, let's get back to work. Like, I think that's one of the coolest things, and that's, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You guys won a championship doing that, and that's how you can continue on throughout this tournament. My next question for you, in terms of water polo, how difficult is it to hold the ball?
It depends on who the defender is.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah.
very true. Like if I would have Ariel on me, she is able to grab me and pull me down, and I'll be able to drop the ball, or other way around. It
Right.
really depends.
Yeah, there are certain rules in the game where if you have the ball in your hand, the defender can do anything to you. It depends on how well you know the game.
Right.
If you
That's
know
very
that
true.
rule, you could do anything to her. You
Right.
know, as
If you're
long-
holding the ball,
Yeah. But some people just don't know that. You know, they're like, oh, all I can do is just hold on to her arm and do nothing else.
Right.
You know, you could do anything to her as long as
Yeah.
she's holding that ball.
Oh, wow. Well, I didn't know that either. So, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could see potentially you could have someone that's just literally just trying to swim in front of you,
Yeah.
and you're just like, all right,
Yeah, that's not
fine,
gonna
I'll
do
just
anything.
I'll just pass it over. Or you have someone that's all over you, and now
Yeah.
you have to try to.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to, one, have to tread water, two, hold the ball, and three, defend someone that's all over you?
It can be very difficult.
A lot of training, though.
It's
We've
a lot of
trained
training,
for
yeah.
a long time,
You know,
so
there are some days where we're just constantly working on one drill where we have to protect the ball. You know, set the ball down. You know, that way that they can't do as much as they would be able to do if you had the ball in your hand. And then the second thing is to protect it. You know,
Right.
make sure that they can't crawl over you or something like
Right.
that in order to steal the ball.
it's also just on the legs as well. So we'll have
Yeah.
certain drills just to work on our legs. 'Cause
Right.
our legs are the strongest part. So we really need to work on that and know how to maneuver ourselves to protect the ball.
Yeah.
How often does conditioning come into play in terms of, like, do you guys condition a lot?
Oh yeah.
And, like, does that help? Do you feel the effects, like for a team, do you know, like, in the fourth quarter you're more conditioned than another team, or when you get into a game and you can tell, like, you lean on this team and they're about to crumble because you guys have conditioned so well?
Yeah,
100%.
Definitely, yeah. Throughout the season, you know, you could just tell, like, we've trained so hard throughout the past years. You know, we've constantly been swimming back and forth.
It's
you know.
3 hours of practice every day, plus
Yeah.
weightlifting.
Yeah, definitely. Weightlifting, we always start in the very beginning of the season, and we continue on until the competition starts getting really hard.
About a week until.
Yeah. And we just focus on our physique and how we perform in the pool. And
Right.
if, you know, something comes up where we start hurting because of the weights, you know,
Right.
coach has us, okay, you know,
Pump the
let's
brakes.
take a break. Yeah. So I think we kind of just like our physical aspect of our body, you know, it's just very special, and it's something that we need to take care of. But as we continue swimming, you know, I just feel like fitness is a very big part
Right.
of it.
Now, do most or all the players on the water polo team, do they also do swim too?
I don't do swim.
I don't either. Yeah.
So what kind of, I say that, then what kind of off season did you have to prepare for this season that just happened? Or is happening?
Last year, I didn't join swim. I just did did my own workout in the weight room. I would sometimes swim. I would run, and mostly all our conditioning beforehand is in the summertime.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of it.
So you have to have some sort of commitment to an off season and prepare for that. You can't just expect to go 29-1, win a CIF championship, and be in the Southern California State Championship tournament just rolling out of bed and getting in the pool.
It will
right?
bite you in the butt if you don't train beforehand.
Right. Exactly. 2 more questions for you. My first one, your team, and just from being around you guys this little bit and seeing how much fun you guys have, and all of this plus the winning, does it even feel like that you guys are competing, or does it feel like it's more of a you guys are together just doing this one common goal, and it's fun? Like, it's not like a stress. It's not something that you're like not worried about. That's not the right word, because of course you're going to be worried about the games, but you're not worried about other things that are going on with the drama and all of that. Like, you guys are together doing one thing. Would you say that's fair?
In our past years playing with our other teammates, in the past we've played with other people, I don't think we were nearly as close to them as we are this year.
Right.
This year
Definitely.
we have definitely come together as a family.
We've seen we know each other's weaknesses and our strengths, and we're able to build upon that and bond better than we've had in the past.
And we can talk through them.
Now, did that take like a certain moment, or was that just through just being around each other and just growing with each other?
It was a process.
We definitely had our moments.
Yeah.
A moment when we had to learn and we had to just stop and listen to each other.
Right. Well, I know, like, being girls are like probably the most ruthless people like on the planet. So like, yeah, being able to find that kind of camaraderie and that commonality amongst each other, it can take like a bit of a process. And like Coach was saying, it was a 3-year goal for you guys to be where you're at now. And is it awesome to see all of that hard work come to fruition?
Oh, definitely.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like Lauren was saying, we have been playing together since 6 years old, you know.
And we've known each other for years.
Right.
For years. Several of the other girls on the team we've known for years. We played with them for years.
So we know each other very well.
Very well,
Right.
yeah. And so as we're able to come together and work together as a whole team, it just brings us even closer. And you were talking about competition and how we feel about, like, are we scared about the competition, or do we feel like it just flows?
Yeah.
I think there's always competition between everyone on the team. There's always going to be competition.
Oh, definitely. Like sometimes someone will come to guard us and we're like, I don't want to be guarded by that person.
Right.
Because you just know they know your weaknesses, so they will hang on you and they will hang on you.
Yeah.
Well, it's all the things that each person that I've asked and all the things that you guys are saying, it helps build championship teams. It's like almost like a blueprint, because like any championship team, competition breeds success. And so when you have a competition, not against the people that you're playing against, but like amongst yourselves, like in practice, if your practices are like more intense than games, you're going to be in a pretty good situation when it comes to the actual game times. And I think that's so cool that you guys are able to not only be so close and be friendly and have this common goal with each other, but also be able to turn around and be in practice and compete and get better and challenge the other person and be able to make them work harder. Like that, I think that is so cool to me. And being that you guys are able to do that, how do you think that will help not only your team right now, but future teams to come?
I think it shows people that no matter how good you are or how good you think you are, you could always do better.
Right.
You know,
The game isn't just about you
Right.
or how much you can do. You have to rely on your teammates and how they can help you as well.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
especially, I mean, if you have one bad egg that is trying to be selfish, it can ruin the whole thing. And so having that kind of strength amongst you guys, it's awesome to be able to reel someone in, like you guys were saying, like, hey, let's get back and focus on what we're trying to do. We're not trying to do independent things. Those things will come with the wins as long as we're all together,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
My last question for you guys, do you like vegetables?
Yeah.
It depends on what vegetable.
What vegetable do you like?
I love broccoli.
I love broccoli
love
too.
Broccoli's amazing.
Yes.
And I love bell peppers. Bell peppers are delicious.
Have you ever had bell pepper, like stuffed bell peppers?
Yes.
Dude.
Oh my
right?
gosh,
Those are so
my
good.
sister makes really good stuff.
With like the meat and all that, and you just
So
eat it.
good, with
That
some
made me
cheese.
kind of like vegetables. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's the one you don't like?
I don't like peas.
Peas are kind of tough. The consistency.
Exactly. And my mom will put them in meals, and sometimes she put too much in it, and all you can taste is the peas.
Yes, especially if you don't like them. You're like, man, I
Oh,
can
I eat
taste
it anyways.
these peas, right? Yeah, right. That's so funny. Girls, Virginia, Ariel, thank you so much for sitting with me, and congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.